It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margee Magee.
Welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast where we explore the intersection of TV and therapy. I'm Margee Magee with my friend and fellow TV and therapy junkie.
Hi, everyone. I am Ramona Ramirez. Yes. So happy to be here with you guys, and obviously always thrilled to see Margee Magee's face on video in real
Same.
life. I will take her any way I can get her. Part of the thing that's so great about doing this podcast is I get to see her every week, at least once.
It's so
Yes,
nice.
it's lovely.
Yeah. And especially, yes, in the heat of all this Sandoval shit, it's been nice to get to download it all with you the day after. Because, I'm sick of it. I'll be honest. This time, it just wore me out this time. I'm like, this is just a competition to see who's the worst, and you all win. So can I go to bed now?
Last night was so uncomfortable. I have a friend visiting right now. One of my dear, dear friends is visiting. You know her. You know Liz. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
So
love
so
Liz.
Liz is up visiting, and she was watching with Josh and I. And yeah, I had to remind her and myself, this was filmed 3 weeks after the revelation. Like everything was so fresh. So many more lies came out. It was extremely uncomfortable to watch, and I had to remind myself that this is incredibly fresh for Ariana. We will get into that. I've never seen such
And it was
diabolical behavior on my television that wasn't a scripted show. It was wild.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was really, it was just like, it was exhausting. It just, it really wore me out. But I will say, through the whole thing, I just kept thinking like, Andy is an excellent interviewer. Like he's kind of a masterclass in moderating a discussion. I mean, obviously he's very familiar with the material, so there's no one better for this job. But I was impressed because that was, it's a lot of hard questions to ask and a lot of calling people out on their lies and a lot of, trying to get James to stay in his chair. And I don't know, I thought he did a really good job.
I thought he did do a good job last night. I thought he did come in with the questions that the audience was probably, if he hadn't asked them, I think we would have been screaming into our televisions going, why isn't he asking this? I know that that's been a criticism of his in the past with other reunions, not really asking the hard-hitting questions that we're all wondering. And it just sucks. I wish they would do an addendum because a lot has happened in the last barely 3 months. Barely. A lot has happened. Anyway, whatever. Go to Reddit. Go to any gossip blog right now. We'll be able to get you caught
up.
But
I feel like Raquel's interview at the end touched on some of that. That just was so odd. It was devastating and it colored the whole thing. I watched it back this morning, the supersized version on Peacock, and having seen Raquel admit to everything and then just watching her through, it just is so, I feel sick.
I do too.
Spending time with these people.
I do too. Last night was, it didn't feel fun. It didn't even feel that kind of hit you get when you watch something salacious. It was.
And I didn't even feel excited by my righteous loathing of Tom and Raquel. I was just like, I don't know. At a certain point, I have, they're unsympathetic, but I was also just like, can we stop yelling at them? Like, yes, it's been 3 weeks now of telling them they're horrible. They're horrible. Like, can we all just stop? But, like you said, it was 3 weeks after the fact. So it's just all too fresh for them.
It was really fresh.
Anyways.
Very, very fresh.
Should we start with Lisa Vanderpump talking about her restaurant? Because that was like what everyone was dying to hear.
I definitely, what's funny is that, I know, she's so, Lisa.
Read the fucking room. Oh my God.
Margee, I think the most triggering part of last night's episode was seeing the visual assault that I did not ask for of the collab between Vanderpump and Nick Elaine. I don't need to be seeing steampunk meets Michael's version of shabby chic meets
Rococo.
I mean, it was
like
it was just
crystals,
like, the hanging crystals. That's what I need therapy from today. That's what I need to download myself from, is that trauma I suffered from looking at that hideous decor. Man.
and saying it's like the most beautiful restaurant in Las Vegas. I was like, first of all, that's a tragic category to be in. And second of all, they showed it to us and it looked like it's what you said. It looks like Michael's foliage that they've draped from the top.
Yeah.
And it just looks, I mean, Lisa Vanderpump does have an aesthetic and it's cheap and gaudy, in my opinion. So
Yeah, I'm not
I
a
was sad that
fan.
she brought attention to it. No, it was bad.
It's not on the cutting edge of decor by any means. And listen, I love an over the top restaurant. I seek out
Hmm.
over the top restaurants. I appreciate even like the way a Buca de Beppo looks inside. Speaking of, I would rather eat in Dorrit's Capri Room in Studio
Yeah.
City than go. Well, listen, I'm not going to lie. If I find myself in Vegas, yeah, I will probably go get a pumptini at Vanderpump Paris. Oh my God. I mean, it's just
Oh my God.
whatevs.
Perry.
She is who she is. Lisa Vanderpump was fully being Lisa Vanderpump last night, and I wasn't on her side. I'm sorry.
A while ago,
Sorry. Okay.
there was some article talking about how she has these two like porcelain dogs that stand outside of Vanderpump
Yeah.
Paris, and they both wear these like jeweled chains, and people kept stealing them, and she was like all upset about it. And I was like, it's so tacky. You're in Vegas, of course people are stealing them. Like you're not in Paris. You're in a place where drunk idiots are coming home from the club and they walk by your stupid porcelain dolls and steal the janky cubic
I
zirconia
know.
necklaces. Who cares?
I know. She's
So
God,
weird.
Lisa. I
She's a
if
lot.
the
Anyways,
rumors are true, I know we all know that Pump has closed or is closing. Has it closed yet or
I think it's been closed for a
oh, that's right.
while
It
and
never
now they're just
reopened. That's
officially.
right.
Yep.
So and think they sold Villa Rosa so that they can go live in Vegas full
Oh, right.
time. And I know there were rumblings about whether or not there would be a new show, the, Vanderpump Vegas or whatever.
Without a doubt. That I think that's why Lisa had that moment.
Oh
Because
yeah.
she's like, let's
It's
get everyone geared
it's
up
so
for what's
it's
next.
advertising to the I'm sure it was in her contract that she got to talk as much as she wanted about her Vegas outpost. And anyway, we don't need to spend more time talking about her.
No,
I
sorry.
know, right? God, guys, we're sorry.
I'm avoiding
I
I'm
know.
avoiding
Is that what it is?
the meat and
You
potatoes
know
of the
what? You're
shit.
right. You're
I mean,
right.
it's just so hard. It's like I'm looking at these notes I took and it's just like shut the fuck up back and forth
I
between
know.
Lala and Tom
I
Sandoval
know.
for 20 minutes and it's just and the whole Tom's first defense of we only fucked once, which we later find out
Dude.
is a lie, but
Plus,
to convince himself that there's something noble in that was just like you are so lost and you're so off the mark and you're so remorseless and it's so I just don't want to spend any more time with you. You make me feel sick and sad.
and I think what he is failing to understand, I know we've had at least, I don't know, what, in the last 10, 15 years, maybe less, maybe more. What is time anymore? Thank you, COVID. There has been a lot more conversations about emotional affairs. And I know that when, even before anything physical happens with someone that you're highly attracted to, that feeling can be enough to sustain you. Like when you get up in the morning and you put on your cute dress and you go to the office and you know you're going to see your crush. Yeah, you're not going to kiss. You're not going to hold hands, maybe, any of that stuff. You're not going to do any of that stuff. But just the knowing, like when you see them and you catch a glimpse of each other, that can be argued to be as damaging as a physical connection with someone.
I mean,
So,
anything that takes you out of your
yes,
primary
yes,
relationship
yes,
is
yes,
eventually going to be a problem.
absolutely,
And I
absolutely,
also think people who indulge in emotional affairs are just, you know, they're just a step away from, they're
absolutely.
just like one accidental landing in the elevator together or accidental in the coat room at a party
Right.
together from, making out or fucking or like
Oh,
whatever.
well, I'll take you
It's
to your
just, you're
car.
just
Yeah,
tempting fate.
totally,
Hmm.
totally.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I think I wrote a bunch of stuff down about that. Who knows?
About,
Yeah,
um,
I wrote down, I think I said this last week too. They weren't in love. They're in full intrigue, they're in full lust. True love means honesty, and there wasn't any for the two of them from the jump. They have just been in sexual desire an infatuation.
And
Yeah.
then they went immediately to damage control,
Yep.
which is clearly Tom Sandoval scripting every second of Raquel's existence. Every word that she says, it was, yeah, it was really asking about the moment when Rachel initiates a conversation with Ariana about
Oh
intimacy
my
with
God.
Tom.
Oh my
And then
God.
she tries to turn that back on other people. It was just like, don't, this is, you're, it's so bad. But this is where I started to get upset is when Ariana rightfully unloads on her, go fuck yourself with a cheese grater. I hope the worst things in the world that could happen to anyone happen to you. And that's when my heart was like, no, you don't, no, you don't, no, you don't. Because if, God forbid, if something awful happened in her car ride home, or you do not want that, like it's that whole, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference.
100%.
And like my prayer is for Ariana to reach indifference as soon as possible, because in the long run that stuff is just it hurts you more than it hurts
Yeah.
them, because God forbid something were to happen and you're carrying that around. It's just gnarly. But again, it was 3 weeks after she'd found out her 9-year relationship had blown up because her best friend fucked her boyfriend in their bed. So
Exactly. And
fuck
I
yourself with a cheese
honestly, I
grater,
had to
fine.
keep reminding myself of that because it was really harsh. And I'm not saying it's because I think what Sandoval and Rachel slash Raquel did, obviously diabolical. If my husband did that, I would be mortified, devastated, and probably would have said all the things that Ariana said. I think that there are worse people. I know that for Ariana in that moment, there were not worse people that deserved worse than those two. And I completely validate that. I really understand. It was uncomfortable to watch it 3 months after. I have an Arya Stark list. I'm not going to lie. I am not perfect. There are people that I would like to have suffer. And I don't know them personally. I'll let you fill in the blanks.
Well, and
But
it's more like
yeah,
yes, it's more that thing of when I'm in so much
yeah,
pain and I haven't processed it yet. I want the other person to hurt as much as I
exactly.
hurt. So I'm going to say everything I fucking can to get their heart to break in as many pieces as they've broken
Yes,
mine. So
absolutely.
I think that might have been what was motivating Ariana. And in some ways, it's cathartic to see someone just say it. Because for me, in my breakups, I go to therapy to yell all of
Yep.
that shit. And then when I'm up against the person, I'm like, we're just not a match.
Yeah.
And I hear what you're saying about me. And if I saw me through your eyes, I'd hate me too. So we should break up. I do all the like, whatever, all the stuff I've already worked with a professional to get through the cheese grater, worst things in the world happening to you stuff. So,
I mean, and
worth seeing, I
that's
guess.
appropriate. That's appropriate.
But I'm old. I mean,
I know.
she's young and,
I mean, I'm sure you and I have written our fair share of letters to people where we just have been instructed to let it rip. And also, you guys, I cannot recommend that exercise enough. If there's someone that's
yeah.
taking up a lot of space in your head, write a letter. Don't hold back. Don't censor yourself. Let it rip. Say the things you would never say to another person. Say the things you don't even know if you want to say to yourself. And you'll never send it. Burn it in an empty metal coffee can in the backyard, or I don't know, wet. Soak it in water with.
Shred
Right,
it,
exactly.
whatever,
Thank you.
flush
Yes.
it.
Get rid of it in some way if you never want someone to see it, share it with a trusted friend or whatever. But holding on to resentment is not going to be good for your own body, soul, and mind. And so this is what I learned in therapy. One of the most powerful things I've learned in therapy, I had an amazing therapist in LA for a long time. It was a man. I never thought I would want therapy from a man. I learned so much. John, if you're out there and you by some reason stumble upon this podcast, thank you. Thank you so much. He said that anger needs a target. That is inherent to anger. It needs a target. And Ariana's targets were there on the stage last night.
Yeah.
I completely understand and validate why she went as ham as she did, you know?
I mean, it
Yeah,
must have been impossible to breathe the same air as
right.
them and share the space with them. I mean, I probably, I would have lit them on fire. Like when my sister and her husband went through their divorce, my therapist, I wasn't allowed to travel for 2 years because my rage at him was so intense that like I couldn't say for sure that I wouldn't do something like violent and inappropriate.
Right.
That would not solve anything for anyone. It would make everything worse for my sister, for the kids, for him, for me.
Yep.
I don't know what it would be like to sit in a room with the two major offenders that have completely turned your life upside down and blown up everything that you've built and blown up all of your understanding of what your future was. I mean, in that regard, I guess she did a great job of keeping herself under control in her seat.
Yeah, and then eventually she did get to that point where she broke down. It was when Tom said he was glad that people were rallying around her.
By the way, that was the
Yeah.
moment when I was like, Andy's a great interviewer because Tom Schwartz being like, oh no, Ariana, why don't you talk about the
Oh my
juxtaposition
God.
of having your heart broken and the world rallying around you? The way he asked that question was awful. Thank God he did because it elicited that beautiful response from Ariana, the most honest moment, I
Yeah,
think. But like,
that was Schwartz is again proving himself to be a whole ass and nothing but an ass. He is, yeah, he's a pathetic emotional terrorist assassin. But maybe when she maybe just hearing it out loud that yeah, she was able to like soften into the people. She had a soft place to land with her friends that showed up for her. That's exactly what your
well,
friends should
yeah.
do. Is they should be there monitoring you round the clock, even if you're sitting in the corner catatonic, be uh, just knowing that someone's there that legit cares about you. Yeah, so she moved to the tears, which is always what's underneath anger. It's always
Of course.
intense pain, fear,
Betrayal,
betrayal,
rejection.
rejection, trauma. It was just poor thing.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a juxtaposition, Schwartz? What about your friend and his lover, your friend, Ariana's friend? Zero remorse. I did not believe
No,
Sandoval's tears, and Raquel
no.
couldn't get there, which is curious. I don't know what that's about, but
It's because she was
yeah,
lying. It's because once she told the truth in that final interview, all of the actual emotion emerged. But when she was lying, nothing came out. When
mm,
Sandoval was lying, it's crocodile tears because there's nothing honest. Like Sandoval was weeping, and literally everyone on the stage and me on my couch were all just like sneering at him. Like, what are you doing? There's nothing, I can't connect to any real emotion because there just is none. It's all a stupid Tom Sandoval in the most extras performance, and it's bad.
it's horrible.
And then
Yeah,
him making fun of James' accent when he was like, I'm James Kennedy and I know everything. Like he can't do the accent. Like everything about it was just, I just wanted to shake him. I just wanted to shake him.
talking about not getting,
He
yeah,
just, yeah.
not getting complaining about memes and that you haven't gotten like texts from people and that you're being skewered in the court of public opinion. I maintain he has zero remorse over hurting his
No,
relationships with his friends, zero remorse over hurting his partner of almost a decade.
he's victimizing
He's victimizing
himself. No one
himself.
texted me. Like, no one, we're misunderstood. We fell in love and couldn't help it. And it's like, I loved Ariana saying, what did you think would happen?
Yeah,
Who did you think was going to text you? Like, to say what? I'm sorry that you're in pain because you're a liar and you're only coming clean because you got caught. Like, what does he want
I don't
applause
know.
and support
I
for? I'm so
I don't know.
lost.
And he also issuing the apology because of the Schwartz and Sandy's suffering, and then he comes out with the one for Ariana. It is, yeah. I listen again. I am not here to diagnose Tom Sandoval, nor am I equipped to diagnose him. But if I was, I might wonder: Are you a narcissist?
I mean, it's really interesting because I've held that test up to a lot of people in my life. And sometimes I've had to like, if I really need them to be a narcissist, I'll like have to manipulate some facts to get me there. But in his case, it's literally like, oh, this is real.
Yeah,
Like all those other people in my life were people that, had hurt me and I needed to get away from. So part of my way to do that was to label them as something that is,
right, right.
unsavable. But they weren't truly narcissists. And I get a real good look at that when I see Tom Sandoval, who is, he can't, when Ariana was saying, like, this is gross. When is it going to click? This is
Yeah,
gross. It's like, and it hasn't clicked
it
yet.
ha.
To him,
Yeah,
to him, it's a romantic. love story that just has like this little bump in it where, you know, we had to get rid of Ariana in a way that we didn't
Right,
plan.
and because he
Yeah.
was the victim, because he was starved of affection and he was subject to
Oh, fuck
criticism
off.
and whatever else he's using as an excuse. And that, yeah, it's bad. I think we're so used to seeing it now from him after these last couple of
Yeah.
weeks. Well, actually, after watching, I mean, I did a rewatch starting at the beginning. Did I even go back to 9? I think I might have because I like to do that. Once I know the ending of something, I like to go back and rewatch to see if there were clues. like I'm like I'm a fucking detective on Dateline. Where were clues? And yeah, he never says sorry. He never says sorry and he's never at fault. There's no humility with Tom
No.
Sandoval. And when you don't have humility, when you are constitutionally incapable of being honest with your own self, he is convinced that he is justified in what he did. And
All of his
yeah,
energy went towards shaping a narrative that would make
absolutely.
him look like, you know, like it's the narcissist thing. They have to be the hero or the victim. So in this case, he was trying to paint himself as a victim with all of the conversations he orchestrated with Schwartz, like, you know, Ariana, I just feel like, you know, she insults me and she talks down to me. And it's like, it was just all the while he's, oh my God, in bed with Raquel. Like, it's just, yeah, it's really ugly to look at so many weeks in a row.
It
It's
is. It
really
is. It doesn't feel
ugly.
fun anymore. It doesn't feel fun at all. Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was yeah, it was not good. It's yeah. I haven't even yeah,
And
go ahead,
yeah.
please.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
no,
Go
no, no.
ahead.
I was going to say I jumped right into like Sandoval and Raquel and Ariana, but yeah, I had like little comments about Katie and Lar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a break from the main event, get a little
And so
sideshow.
again, the way I like to watch is I'll watch the episode on Bravo on Hulu Live the night that it airs, and then I'll watch the uncensored on Peacock the next morning. And so we saw the little snippet about Katie, and Andy's like, "Why did you even invite her? She had already told you that she had tried. She asked Schwartz to make out. She says it to Katie's face, and Katie's like, "Why did you do that?" When you, we all know this. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go over that again. So I was wondering, why did Raquel go? Was it producers? Was Katie doing it to kind of appease the rest of the group? If we
I think Tom Sandoval told her to go. I'm dead serious. I don't think Raquel took a
Oh.
single step motivated by her own thinking this season. I think she got into it with Sandoval and surrendered her whole life and
Oh my
storyline to
God.
him. Because
Can you
that's the
imagine?
moment when she got to, and I'm sure he advised her to leave that trip when she said that just really telling drunken thing of, you know, when Lala said, I wouldn't trust you around my man, and Raquel slurs, they'll thank God you don't have any
Yeah.
man.
And it was,
And I'm sure she reported that to Sandoval, and he was like, get out of there, you're fucking it up.
yeah. Yeah. And it's true.
Maybe.
You either say things you don't mean when you're wasted, or it's the truth serum that we all know that it is. And so it was, yes. And while I'm jumping towards something that Raquel said at the end, towards the end of the episode, when Raquel was talking about why she did this with Sandoval, talking about how she was a people pleaser her entire life, Raquel, anybody that is suffering from being a people pleaser, which is an awful place to be. Obviously, I've had moments. I have to weigh whether or not my saying yes to something when I want to say no. I have to weigh, is it a big deal? Like, is this something I can do? Like, you know, is it a pain in the ass for me to bring like to, even though I'm exhausted, is it a pain in the ass to bring an extra bag of cookies to, my kids' class if they're having a party? You know, I could say no. Is it a big deal? Like, can I get over it? Yes, I can. Being a people pleaser is awful in that you suppress your own needs, you go against your own internal boundaries in order to make someone else happy, in order to garner love from them. We all know it's twisted. It's not the right way to go about getting people to really love you and respect you and care about you. And it's also not good to do to yourself. We don't want to be going against what we need, you know? Again, it's like In big things, I have learned to say no, like if certain family members were like, "Hey, do you wanna stay here? When you come visit me," I could say yes if I was a people pleaser because I didn't wanna hurt their feelings, when inside I would be screaming, "Hell fucking no. I need to be somewhere where I can take a break from you later, and I know I'll have my own space." So, I can now do that, which I'm really grateful for. When I do choose to people please, it's highly uncomfortable. I hate it. I will talk about it in therapy. I'll talk about it with Josh. I'll talk about it with you. I'll have to do a lot of reconciling my actions around it. Raquel, not people pleasing anymore does not mean you get to indulge in your sexual desires and in your infatuation with a man who is not available. It's telling
But
someone,
she hasn't
right.
even yeah.
It's telling someone, no,
She
thank
hasn't
you. I don't want to go out that night. I'm tired. I need to stay home. I know that you want me
But
to
she
be
didn't
there.
resolve her people
No, she
pleasing. She went
absolutely
from
did
people
not.
pleasing James to people pleasing Tom Sandoval. Because again, you see in that final interview that she's saying, breaking down, saying, I hate lying. This is like killing my
Yep.
soul.
Yep.
So that is the truth, which means her people pleasing just transferred
To
from
Sandoval.
one place to Tom
Right,
Sandoval. So
right.
her talking about that, it's just, if she had a second to think, the argument makes no sense. Like I was people pleasing, and so this time I'm taking this time to only think about pleasing myself. It's like, okay, but nobody would take it to the extreme of fucking your best friend's partner of 9 years. So it's the thinking is really incomplete, which leads me to believe it's a Tom Sandoval
It's
script.
so incomplete and inaccurate. It's so inaccurate.
Yes.
Doing what you want without a care of how your actions can affect someone else in that way, in such a dishonest, terrible, terrible way to indulge your own needs, whatever they are, is not people pleasing. It's just
Hmm.
another coping skill that serves to rationalize what you're doing when you probably know that it's wrong. Dude,
I
dude.
think she did know it was wrong. And I think she's convinced herself, or Tom has convinced her that she's in love with him. I don't even know if she knows if she is or
Yeah.
not. I think it's just such a fucked up. I mean, he's so controlling to the point of being abusive, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
He just, when again, in that final interview, when she was saying, he thought it was best to not disclose everything. He doesn't want me to tell about this part. He's going to kill
He's gonna
me.
kill
I mean,
me.
I know she
Yeah.
didn't mean he's going to kill me really,
Right,
but like the
right.
fact that in her head, she's haunted by his voice when she's just trying to tell her true story. That's
It
scary.
was
It's true. Lala's right. He is a
he
dangerous
is
person.
absolutely dangerous. He is absolutely a dangerous person. Yeah, I stay far, far away. God, no. Oof. No, no, no. So yeah, I veered off, but I know I was wondering if Katie invited her because pressure from friends or whatever. And I've been there before, like on a group trip with people, or it's someone that I love's birthday and they're like, hey, do you mind if so and so comes? And I don't really care for that person, but I swallow it and I go, yeah, sure. And then I just kind of like tolerate being in their presence. I wonder if that's where Katie
I
was
mean,
because it did not seem congruent
I'm
with
so
what
cynical
Katie
now.
would normally do.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm cynical enough to think it was Lisa Vanderpump who forced it. Because remember, they start that trip with dinner at
Oh,
Vanderpump
you're
à
right.
Paris.
You're
And
right.
I just,
Yes.
which
Yes.
was that the dinner where Katie's mom cried? I mean, the whole thing, like, I don't know why you would walk into that. It was just awful.
It was terrible.
Yeah. But I agree with you. I don't think Katie, if she had her way completely, that Raquel would ever have been a part of that trip.
We also
Yeah.
saw more proof that Lisa Vanderpump is a rampant, committed misogynist. When she was telling Lala, don't be a bitter woman, wow. So, so, so uncomfortable with Lala expressing anger and judgment at a man.
About a
Yeah, I
man.
don't I
Mhm.
don't find listen, we could do a whole episode on Lala. Yes, we could, but we're not right now. We're doing an episode on Part 3 Reunion. I don't think that I wasn't comfortable with her behavior, I would dare to say that, okay, what I'm about to say could be very controversial. And Margie, if you have, I welcome your feedback on what I'm about to say. I'm going to be completely honest. And I am also open to the fact that I might be missing something completely. Okay. When people are truly sober in the way that the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous lays out to mean sober, they don't just mean abstaining from alcohol or your drug of choice. They mean sober in your body, mind, and soul, and your actions. And the steps are built in so that when you are not, you have opportunities. If you want to maintain that emotional sobriety, there are opportunities that you can take, that you are encouraged to take, that they are telling you to take if you want sobriety in their definition of it. I don't see emotional sobriety there. I don't see working a 12 step there. I see a lot of things that one would have to do a 9 step for. Now, maybe things have changed since I used to sit in on an AA meeting and listen,
No,
but I,
you know,
she just,
it was interesting this week because the Summer House reunion, the second part aired. And again, Carl is sober now. And he appears to be sober in all the ways that you say, body, mind, and spirit. And there was a lot of emotion, a lot of conflict. Certainly his partner instigates a bunch of it, but he just sat there and he told the truth. And he acknowledged that he showed up to work coked up and didn't bring his laptop. He acknowledged that he went to his interview sessions drunk and talked inappropriately about his brother's heroin habit,
wow.
which led them to never speak
Oh,
again, and his brother passed before they ever reconnected. So but he was grounded in true sobriety. And Lala, it's just hard to know. Lala seems like a performer, and I think she's putting on a show,
okay.
but
That's
it's not
true.
a great advertisement for the 12 step
Right.
rooms.
And
It's a lot of inventory taking and,
yeah.
all of
And
that.
which is exactly what I'm doing right now, and I hope I set that up
Hmm.
appropriately, that I knew that's what I was going to be doing. And I don't even know, personally, I don't know for sure if she even goes to meetings or has a sponsor or whatever. I think I've heard that. Obviously, I don't know. So maybe she didn't feel that she needed to adhere to that. I know that once you start working a program of recovery, you know, there are ways to express your anger that are healthy and appropriate, where yes, the person that you are expressing the anger to, they could feel very offended or hurt or angry in response. It's not your business. So the way she was expressing her anger gave her that satisfaction. And I can only speak from, okay, this is what I'm assuming because I've done this myself. When I express anger the way Lala was expressing anger last night, it is again because anger needs a victim. It makes me feel powerful. And it's that short term gratification from letting it rip.
It's a
It is a
high.
complete high. And when you can really, quote unquote, like own someone or whatever the youngsters say now, it's like, that feeling, I've done it. I've let it loose in public. I know that you and I have talked about the show Beef before. Um, I've 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 said shit to other drivers, and I'm sure if I was in, and actually my mom has been like next to me in the car, and she's like, Jesus Christ, Ramona, like let it go. Like what's happening to your body and mind when you get that rageful that you have to ask someone like, did they just get their driver's license that day? Congratulations, you'll get better at it. Sorry.
Mhm.
But it's like it feels good in that moment in the same way that like eating too much frosting is like tastes so good in the moment, but in 5 minutes you're gonna be like, oh God, I ate the frosting. I feel sick to my stomach. It doesn't last. It's not a true way to feel good. Whether or not she decides to make amends or take responsibility for what she said, I have no idea. And again, she could have it all set up with her sponsor or her, her trusted AA friends or her sober friends or her therapist, or if she's working with any other mental health professionals, like she could have it like, okay, listen, I'm on a show. This is what I need to do for the show. I don't behave like this in my, non-show life. Maybe there were loopholes. I don't know. But
But again, it was only 3 weeks after
You're
the
right, you're
fact,
right,
and I
you're right.
do feel like after what she went through with Randall, which is not dissimilar from what Tom and Raquel perpetrated, I don't know if Lisa Vanderpump called me a bitter
Oh my
woman
god.
for having feelings about that. I understand why she went off, you know,
100%.
but yeah, but it isn't, it's not, again, it's not a sympathetic look. It's like, yes, you're right, but what you're doing is also ugly. And this whole room is just an
Yeah.
explosion of gross, tragic, yeah,
Yeah.
just, I don't know. Nobody's right.
Nobody's
Like
right. Nobody's right. Oh,
when
James.
James was screaming at Andy, like, why are we talking about things that happened 4 years ago? I was like, yeah, that's true. But also, you did do that 4 years ago. Like,
Right,
so you don't have any right to be yelling at Tom, but Tom doesn't have any right to be cross examining Lala
right.
about her mistress behavior. It's just like there's no heroes on that stage.
The only thing I kept thinking of when I saw James revert to the "you're both poo-poo heads, you're gonna live in a house made of poop or made a house made of shit," all I could think of was how his development was arrested at a certain point in very, very young childhood, and when he's processing something that's very triggering like this, you know, that part of his brain that got stuck when he was a kid. I mean, when you grow up with 2 really alcoholic parents, I mean, I it
Well, learning in this episode that his dad was with him and Allie when they went to the Abbey and happened upon Sandoval and Raquel.
uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
was like, your dad was out partying with you at 1 in the morning?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
James is in his 30s. Like, when I was in my 30s, my party life was separate from my mom and
yeah.
dad by miles. Like, I can't even imagine the dynamic of that relationship where you're partying with your dad at 1 a.m.
Maybe he wanted to go out because
Odd.
he's a isn't he a DJ too? Isn't his dad a
He's a
yeah.
DJ too. So
So
maybe he
maybe
came to
yeah.
support James at See You Next Tuesday. But like, why do you go to the second location? If you're the
I
dad,
mean,
just be like, hey, good job, son. Good night.
you know,
What do I know? I don't know anything about being a
I
parent,
I
but
I just
it just seemed interesting.
I feel for James. It's true he went to another relationship within 6 weeks after being engaged to someone that he said he was in love with, and that was the best thing that ever happened to him. My wish for James is that he finds someone that he can talk to that has a lot of knowledge about what happens to you and your thinking and your physical brain, the way you process your thinking about yourself and the world. I really want that for him. I really want that for him. He seems very, very traumatized. I think he probably has a lot of residual PTSD from his childhood. And I mean, I just that was when seeing the behavior that mimicked a child, it I just felt bad. I didn't think it was dorky. I didn't think it was funny. I just felt like, oh God, this is we're watching
I, of
5-year-old
course, giggled
James.
because he
Like,
said, yeah,
yeah.
he said poo poo and I started giggling. But it also was that moment when Ariana just busted out laughing because Tom and Raquel were like, we are in love. I am in love. I'm sorry. And everyone started laughing because it is absurd. The whole thing is ridiculous. They're lying about everything and then saying they're in love in this dramatic fashion. And it's just like, it truly is theater of the absurd. At a certain point, I imagine sitting on that stage for 5 hours listening to this shit. You do just go to a place where you're like, this is ridiculous to the point of being hilarious. And there's nothing else to say but poo poo heads living in a shit
True,
house.
true. Absurdity does
I
does
don't
call
know.
for absurd comebacks. That's absolutely true. You're right. You're right. And
Who
yeah,
knows?
they were those two, they were in love. They were not in love. They were in intrigue, they were in lust, they were in the coked up feelings of God, I don't know. I don't think that either.
Yeah, it's just sad because they blew up their friendships in a way that, like, I don't know if anyone has enough time on earth left to repair that. It's just the betrayal is so deep and deliberate. It's such a massive rock bottom. And I feel like Raquel has hit
I do
it in a
too. I do
way,
too.
and Sandoval is still like trying to like swim to the
Yeah.
surface, even though like the undercurrent is really trying to yank him down. But until he lets go and hits his bottom, he'll just keep doing this shit, just lying. God, the amount of energy he puts into lying is so disturbing. And the way he believes that what he's doing is like there's some integrity in
Oh
it.
my
You
God.
know, we only fucked once. It's like, and even when he said at some point, he was saying, doesn't a mistress imply that it's an ongoing thing? Raquel and I only fucked once. And it's like, everyone was like, that's semantics. Like, what are you doing trying to qualify Mistress Bimbo with like, even if it was just a one night stand, which it wasn't, but stepping out on your long term relationship and shit talking your girlfriend on TV is, uh, yeah, again, there's nothing noble in that.
Nothing.
I find, yeah,
He's
it's all atrocious.
he's disconnected from reality in an aggressive way. And yeah. Again, I just keep thinking, I don't think there's hope for him. I do think that he is constitutionally incapable of being honest with himself and another person. Maybe time will tell. He did not seem to have any remorse last night, not one. Now, I did not get as far. I did not get through the entire episode of the uncensored one, so I did not get to see what happened during his conversation with Lala. I'm sorry, with Lisa Vanderpump. I don't know if anything stuck out to you. I really wanted to watch that, but
No,
yeah.
it was just Lisa saying, you know, it was actually relatively sound advice saying, look, you're being defensive out there and you would do yourself a favor by just apologizing sincerely and saying that you still love everyone on that stage. And she said, be prepared for everyone to say, fuck you, but you'll be laying a foundation as like someone who is humbled by their errors and willing to be remorseful. But at that point, it was too late. At that point, he'd already said Ariana kept her t-shirt on while we fucked, and
My
that's not
God.
hot. At that point, he'd already, you know, tried to skewer Lala about what a mistress is. Like he'd scorched all the earth he
He did.
had. So there wasn't, he tried to come back and do that, but it was utterly unsuccessful because everyone was already just, you can't take him seriously. Anything he says feels false. So it's hard to pick out if anything he said was true. I don't
I don't
know.
either.
And he kept saying, I just want to have a real conversation with Ariana.
No, he
And
doesn't.
I'm like, but you just, no. And you just said, yeah, she kept her t shirt on.
Exactly.
Like, you just said that. So why do you expect that she would ever want to sit down with you? Like, pick a lane, man. Like, are you remorseful and you want to resolve this? Or are you defensive, think you're in the right, and but you can't go back and forth. It's like maybe that's why it was exhausting to me. I was just dizzy. I was like, what are you doing? You're all over the place and your apologies are incomplete and insincere and your defenses are ridiculous and obvious lies and I just can't invest in you. You just suck.
Yeah, I don't I do yeah. I have abandoned hope about him.
It's hard to see how
Yeah,
that straightens
because it
out
doesn't
and involving his parents.
I mean, he continued to lie for the remainder of the episode. Well, he said
Mhm.
no, that they didn't. Okay, technically, maybe they didn't spend Christmas Day in St. Louis. I don't know. I think they did. But we all saw the picture. We all know they were together at Christmas time in St. Louis. We know that.
Well, and
He said no.
Raquel was, yeah. Well, and so did Raquel in that interview until the producer pushed her. He said, have you ever been to St. Louis? And she said no. And then the producer was like, are you sure? And she's like, I do not recall.
Oh my
And I was like,
God.
whoa, we're in like deposition
Yeah,
language. Like, Jesus Christ,
it was
dude.
so wild. It was so wild. I don't know what they're I'm yeah. I wonder if other people watching I'm going to go on Reddit later obviously. I can't wait to see. I like to see what people are thinking, but I wonder if people were as like over it like okay, we're done. We need to not see this anymore. We've crossed a line. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it was obviously obviously I want to I want to watch next week. I want to see the secrets revealed. I mean,
Oh, I
they probably
mean,
have
yeah.
so much that they either didn't have time to go back and re-edit or whatever, but I want to see the shit that was left on, I want to see what the producers were seeing, but I'm ready for it to be done. I'm ready for everyone to move on and heal. I don't think that Sandoval is going to hit a bottom. I don't think that he has a bottom. I think that Schwartz probably does. Maybe, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
He's close to
I think
it,
that,
but he's trying to avoid it too by being cutesy, but
yeah.
he knows that he is culpable and disgusting. And, I heard an excerpt from a podcast he was on saying, I hated being on that side of the
Oh,
room
yeah,
during
that's
the reunion.
right.
And I was like, you belong there. And if you don't see that, then you're you're not looking at this properly. You belong there. You knew from the minute the one night stand happened, and you're not a victim for saying Tom Sandoval abused my kindness. No, bitch, you had information and you
Yeah.
lied and you participated in a
Yep.
cover up. In a court of law, you're
Right.
guilty. You're going to jail as an
He aided
accessory
and abetted.
because yeah, you had the information and you made choices. And I think he knows they were bad ones, but he's having a really hard time not blaming Sandoval for his own shit.
I think when
So,
Schwartz and Sandy's eventually closes, if they do, I don't know how they're doing right now. I don't know what's going on with that establishment, but I think that might be Schwartz's bottom, you know? I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, part of me wonders if Lisa will like employ one or both of them in Vegas. Like maybe Tom Sandoval moves to Vegas, gets some dumb residency with the most
Oh
extras,
my
and works
god.
bartends at A Paris. I don't
And if
know,
anyone thinks
but
that
yeah,
Vanderpump is above doing that and would never, you are in deep, deep denial. She totally
it
would.
almost seems like she's setting him up for it.
Yeah.
Like she kept trying to coach him into being redeemable, and he was not capable of following direction. But she's more invested and attached to those boys than she is to the truth or anyone else.
So gross.
This was a real look at her that, I think that's also part of it. It's just like enough Lisa
Yeah.
Vanderpump being wrong.
Again, I know that there's a legion of LVP fans out there that really miss her being on um, Beverly Hills. I'm fine without her. I have enough.
I'm just so
Yeah.
sick of the lying.
Yeah.
Like, I wish she had just said, yes, I leaked the story about Kyle and Mauricio cheating. Yes, I just wish it's the lying that just gets like really
I
tiring
know.
after a while. And I think because everyone on that side of the stage was wrapped up in lying, it was just
It
tonnage,
was awful.
too much.
Um,
Yeah.
we are almost out of time. I wanted to ask you before we leave, what have you been watching this week? What have you felt challenged by? And what did you do for your mental health this week?
Oh boy. I watched the Summer House reunion, which was mostly unsatisfying, but interesting to see a man in recovery on a stage with a bunch of people who are not staying, true to the principles of the program. Interesting to see. Oh, you know what I did watch? I watched Shiny Happy People, the documentary about the
Oh, how is
Duggars.
that?
I couldn't get
I
through.
bet.
I can't remember how many episodes it is, but
Yeah,
like, ugh, it's chilling. It's gross. It's everything you expect, and yet somehow it's still surprising and terrifying and disgusting. And I just had one of those moments where I'm like, as fucked up as some of the stuff in my upbringing in life has been, like I wasn't born into like a cult where a 70-year-old man wanted to
oh my
marry me when I was
God, I
14,
know.
and like I just like it's so yeah, it's intense. So I haven't finished it, but it's well done, but it's just that may be why it's really hard to
Oh,
watch.
I have no doubt.
So,
I have no doubt. Oh my God,
yeah.
that whole story is just so. It's just, yeah, what can you say? See, we were both just struck silent. We don't even know what to say. That's how terrible
Yeah.
that story is. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
it's yeah, It's really,
Dark. That's
yeah,
truly dark. It's
yeah.
dark. Yes.
Um, and for my mental health this week, I went to meetings again. I talked to my therapist and, I've been reading, I have these like daily meditation books and I finally put them next to my bed. So I turn my alarm off and grab one of those and just read that for the day.
Oh,
So it's, you know, sometimes I roll my eyes. Like it's a good barometer of like how my mood is in the
totally.
morning. Cause sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is a really great, generous, spiritual way to approach my day. And sometimes I'm like, fuck off. Reality is really hard and this is
Exactly.
lame. I mean, yeah, this writer's strike is like really starting to wear me down.
Margee,
I'm like scared
of
and
course.
pissed. And so some mornings I wake up because I'm going to strike and like reading a daily meditation is like,
Yeah,
one of them was like, everyone in my life is, has my best interests at heart. And I'm like, no, they don't.
I know.
But they do. The people striking do. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's been a weird week. The strike is going on too long and I'm just sort of unraveling and whatever. But I'm doing what I can for my mental health anyway, even on the days where it feels like it's not working. It's a practice, and so um, you know, I'm still committed, whether I'm rolling my eyes at it or
And
not.
that is one
So
thing I will share with everyone listening is that this woman, my beloved co-host, my beloved friend, um, when you go to 12-step rooms, they talk about when you look for a sponsor, a sponsor is someone that has more recovery than you, and they're living a life that you've observed that seems like something that you want, like you want what that person has, and that's what attracts you to want to work with them, and they help you go through the steps. Even though I am not a member of 12-step programs anymore formally, I still, year after year of this friendship, Margie, I still want what you have because of everybody in the entire world. You have an unyielding commitment towards just showing up and doing the hard work, even when you absolutely do not want to. And I am still motivated by you and the way you live your life.
I mean, they call it the gift of
Yeah,
desperation,
I
I
know.
just like, and I do know that I don't want to go back to trying to like live my life on my own, using my own brain to figure it out. So, yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And likewise,
Oh,
of course.
well,
Truly. Yeah. And how about you? What did you watch this week? And what are you doing for your mental health?
let's see. We watched the first 30 minutes of the new season of 90 Day Fiance this before the 90 days. And here is how I will describe TLC, the 90 Day Fiance franchise, as opposed to what we watch on Bravo. So, you know how, and I'm sorry, this is like the only thing I can think of to describe this. And it's not the best, but it's just the first thing that pops up. It's like, you know how like Playboy is airbrushed and, oh, at least when the magazine was out, it's airbrushed and produced and uh I don't know, like pretty. And then there's like Hustler and Penthouse, which is just like high def lighting, fucking dark web shit. Bravo is Playboy. 90 Day Fiance is the Hustler and Penthouse. Like it's like I yeah. So we watched the first half of that. Talk about wow, that show is a little oof. Thank God that was only like a half hour
I
clip.
can't watch
Yeah,
it.
I couldn't for a long
Yeah.
time, and
I've never watched it because,
my
yeah,
stomach.
I think it'll just destroy
It's
me and just make
It's
me think
really
all people are
it's really
awful.
sad, when I see couples where there are children involved, that is what if it's just adults out there being fools, I don't like it necessarily, but I don't my heart doesn't break. When children are involved, it's not it's no longer fun or entertaining. It just makes me anxious and I lay up at night. Part of why I do ketamine therapy is because when I would go somewhere like Target or walking, my kid to school, when I hear an adult yell at a child in a tone that, um, isn't just, God, we're going to be late. Come on, let's hustle, let's hustle. I mean, like when I don't need to go there, but I don't need to like explain the whole thing, but it would take me out. My body would get cold. I almost felt like I would start to disassociate because I was just so attached to what that child must be going through. Oof.
Mm.
And when I see children not have they, it can be argued that children are the most oppressed group of people on the planet. They don't ask to be born. They don't get a choice over who their parents are. They are at the mercy of grown-ups around them who are parenting with whatever skill set they have in that moment. And I was starting I would be so taken out by hearing stuff like that. And that's part of why I did ketamine therapies because I needed to kind of rein in my PTSD in a way that I couldn't before. And but when I see children not being cared for in a way that I know that they deserve, it makes me want to throw myself off a cliff, basically.
Mm.
Like I want to
Mhm.
I think it's just awful. And so in that respect, it's hard for me to watch those shows sometimes. And then we also we used to watch Darcy and Stacy a lot, like in the regular.
That
The
yeah.
last season I think is already over, but we it was like the dregs of our recordings that we had left. And sometimes you just want something on where you can do your New York Times word games, but also be a little quasi
Mhm.
entertained. And that, yeah, again, those sisters are no longer fun for me to watch. They're so mean to each other. And it's just, again, it's more unprocessed trauma unfolding before me on top of a lot of other things. So I need to make better choices with my reality
Well, I
TV.
mean,
Thank God Orange County is starting again. So that will be good. But
oh god. Yeah, I didn't watch that yet, but I
yes,
will.
I also met with my therapist. I did. Honestly, right now where I am, like still coming out of this depression I had a couple weeks ago, like washing my face and putting on all my ablutions and brushing my teeth before I go to bed instead of just saying fuck it and going to bed, like taking off my bra and just going under the covers. It's like sometimes that is a real huge win for me. And I am getting better at acknowledging that. But yeah, I have felt really challenged this week by how it feels like my ADHD this week is interfering with how not just interfering with how I function, but with how it, I don't feel, I feel 90% able to function and 10% I still feel like I don't know what to do. Please, somebody tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. And it's exhausting. And I pinged my psychiatrist. I'm like, do I need to go up on my meds right now? And she said, no, you just started taking the antidepressant again. We need to like get you back up to a good therapeutic dosage of that. And then we can reassess the dosage of your ADHD medicine because it could help that. And it's true, like the Venn diagram of all of these conditions, it overlaps, like where does the ADHD and the anxiety and the depression and the PTSD, where does it all start and end? And the overlap is massive. And so,
It's so hard to be
yeah,
patient, like, once the depression lifts and I wanna get
yeah,
better, it's so hard to be
yeah,
patient while meds take effect
yeah,
or, changes in structuring your day take effect.
yeah,
It's just yeah, I hear you, I
yeah.
get that.
So, yeah, but I'm here. I'm happy to see you.
Yeah.
One of my best friends is visiting us right now. My kid's in camp. Everyone is, doing good. I have a lot to be appreciative and grateful for. And so, yeah, yeah,
We're
we're
doing it,
doing it.
man. We're doing okay.
So,
And we got through this. I'm really happy that we have closed out the Sandoval chapter, and I'm curious to see what we talk about next week.
I would.
I'll obviously watch everything on
I
the
mean,
TV, so I'll have
have
plenty
you
to
watched
say.
Orange County from last night? Me
No, not
either.
yet.
I
I saw Tamara on Watch What Happens
Me
Live,
too.
and whoa, fillers! Wow, wow,
Yeah,
wow! Her
yeah,
face,
yeah,
her cheeks were like
yeah.
massive.
I
And I say this as someone who got fillers and promptly got them all dissolved because I looked like Jigsaw. Like it just puts
well,
your
I disagree
cheeks
with
in
that,
this
but
like
I hear
really,
what you're saying. I
yeah, no, it just was not. I mean, the way it worked or didn't work in my face is similar to the way it is working or not working on Tamara's face. So I just felt the pain, the heaviness of that, the weight of the fillers in her cheeks and her marionette lines and all that shit.
yeah, it
Anyways,
was
but I haven't watched Orange County to answer your question.
I yeah, I'm not ready for Vicky Gunvalson to be back on my screen. I know she's a friend of. I'm never ready for Vicky. I am never ready for Vicky. I'm never ready for her daughter. I'm never ready for her son-in-law. I'm never ready for the men that she dates. Well, I think it'll give us a lot to talk about. So yeah, we could be back next week, giving our takes on the new season of Orange County that's starting, and obviously the secrets revealed, Vanderpump Rules, if we can stomach anymore. But if you guys are liking the podcast and you want to keep abreast of everything we're up to, please give us a follow on Instagram. Our handle is at A Therapeutic Dose. We also are eventually going to be, I don't know, maybe with this episode we will be putting the podcast. You can either listen to it on your podcast platforms, or you can find us on YouTube at some point. And if you follow us on Instagram, then you will know when we are going to be able to, when we'll have a video up. If that's how you choose to get your podcast content, is watching it instead, then we'll give that to you. Also, rate, subscribe, follow the podcast if you like it, and then the shows will automatically show up for you. You guys know how it works. Oh my God. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and it's the end of our session, but it's been a pleasure as always. And thank you everybody for joining us for A Therapeutic Dose. And we will talk to you
Yeah,
next
we'll see you
week.
/ talk to you next week. Please take good, sweet care of yourselves. Give yourselves breaks. Yeah. Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
Ramona and Margee are, obviously, not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.